Hello, everybody. Good morning. Okay, so let's start with this season. Okay, so last Monday we start this period of season presentation of the webinar of LPR solution. So the last Monday, as I told you, was the basics, was the presentation of how ZKTeco works for LPR solution. So what is the basic installation you need to process? You can do it for your customer, the basic installation. So on this season, the idea is to look into the the details for Advantage integrator, for supporting, for Advantage installers. They want to have more knowledge related to how to control all the configuration in the web server camera, and also how to connect with third-party solution. Okay, let's start. So this is the camera, as you maybe know, the connection, the English, okay, and let's go in. Okay, so as I told you before, we have a camera connected to recording, to catching place in a city in Spain for real time. So the idea is to follow this manual, okay? So the manual is LPR Car ID, system integrator guidance. We will provide this information later. Okay. So the idea is you can find the main menu. Let me present the main scenario because maybe one of you missed the first presentation. So let me process a very fast review. Okay. So here in the main menu you can find the live view of the camera. So you can see many cars passing right now. So as I told you before, this is not real time itself. So, okay, because the LPR camera is working and 4 frames per second. Okay, but it's more than enough. It's more than enough for the LPR. So let me close my Skype also. All the chats I have open. Sorry. No. Okay. So on this area, you can find the historical list. Okay, so you can process a search. You can find any car was catched before. Okay, example. Okay, for example, you can find here information of the car starting by or containing this information. Okay, and finally on the bottom of this menu, you can find all the license plate catched. Okay, and also the percentage of the accuracy and the timestamp. Okay, so what is as I told you in the last Monday, what is the core of this application? The core of this application is the list menu. It's list of menu. Okay. On the list of menu, by default, the camera provides, let's say, 4 different lists. One is the black list, white list, not in the list. Not in the list means the system is returning every catching plate that is not included in any list, and all plates is returning all the plates by the system, catching by the system. Okay, so I will use this solution in order to explain third-party integrations. Okay, because this list is returning every catching plate. Okay, so following the manual. Okay, so following the manual, this is the presentation. Okay, this is the information, and this is the details by Okay. Before to move here, so for sure you can create any custom list you want. For example, this is very typical VIP list. Okay, so the behavior is of this list will be completely different to one of these. Okay, so imagine on this list you can find the list, but imagine you want to add manually. Okay, VIP car 1, let's say Ferrari. Okay. Okay. So starting the validation from today and save. Okay. And then imagine with this car you can process the actions, whatever you want. For example, maybe send an email. Okay, because it's just information. All of these actions. Okay, I will call as a third-party integration. Okay, so this is what is still really important of this presentation of this webinar. Okay, what we want to do with the catching plate, okay. So on this picture, okay, and this is the point for third-party integration. Okay, at the end, third-party integration is based on the action for list. It means I can program any action for any list. Okay, so this is the idea how to integrate this system with third party, because the camera is always recognition and recognition the place and returning a value. Then you can send this information to third party system. For example, what is the, so for me, there are two different types of integration. One is the physical one, and the rest are the logical one. When I'm talking about the physical one, I'm talking about, for example, just to connect the output relay of the camera to, for example, our barrier or third-party barrier, third-party door. Okay, so this is the most common use. Okay, the physical one connecting to the relay, the I/O port, the output, the auxiliary relay output to the barrier or the door. So another for me is the physical one, is the based on Wiegand. Okay, the camera support Wiegand output, but it's not Wiegand output itself. Okay, it's not a physical output because the camera doesn't have a Wiegand port. So it's a IP Wiegand. It means you need to install in the middle a controller, a little Arduino with a program running the coding from the IP Wiegand to the standard Wiegand. Okay. Then you can connect to a third-party controller, for example, as a external reader. Then you can use this controller to connect to your software, or to connect to our reader. So whatever. So this is why here I add our standard controller C3. Okay, C controller. The rest for me are the logical one. Okay, so one of the most popular one should be HTTP server. So what means this? What is the meaning of this integration? The meaning of this integration is you configure the information in all the plates. Once you configure this action, all the information captured by the camera will be sent to third-party HTTP server. Okay, so later I will show you how this works. The same solution would be used for a standard .NET C# application. Imagine you have a parking solution based on PC, not in the web server, not in the cloud, so different. It's based on the PC solution. Then we will provide a socket connection. Okay, socket server connection in order to the camera send by this protocol the information to this application. Okay. Another important thing is to send an email with all this information. Okay, so you need just only to set the email server information credential. FTP server is, I think, is a very standard way to it's not an integration itself, it's a way to transfer files, okay? Okay, so you need to, later I show you how the FTP server works, because FTP is by the directional configuration, I mean, by directional integration, because not only you can send information back to FTP by a file, but also you can import from FTP the list of the car. Imagine you have a list of the car in a database. You can create a file, and then you can import this information from the FTP server to the camera. Another integration that already done and is already supported, it is a Milestone integration, okay? The camera support to connect to the Milestone VMS. So then the camera is sending to the VMS through the port, specific configuration, this information to the Milestone, storing the information in the VMS. And also it support this is a Mexican company that produce parts. Okay, so all of this information, okay, will be explained in a detail in this webinar. Okay, for sure, all this information, all the detail will be practical as much as I can, okay, in order you understand how to do it by yourself. In order you have a project, you want to integrate our LPR camera with third-party solution, for sure you can do it like this. You can choose whatever solution that fits you better. Okay, so let's start with a practical training, okay? So you can see how many different integration is supported by the camera. So, okay, let's start. So let's start for the basic one, okay? The auxiliary, let's say for the output relay, okay? Just connect to our rear. Okay, for example, I already created VIP. So this car, for example, VIP Ferrari, for all of the cars in this list, I want to proceed like this. Okay, actions for this list will be, for example, just IO port. So it means open the barrier. Okay, and enable. Okay, so right done. So I need to configure this. So just to check on the action, and you can schedule the time when you want to open the barrier. Okay, so you don't need to touch anything here because the output of this camera is number 0, because the camera has only one output, and the time you want to be open. Okay, so this is very simple. Okay, this is the standard interface for IO port in order to open our rear. Okay, but based on this, I want to explain more, because the camera support also auxiliary input. What I mean with this? With this is you can control when the camera starts to read. Okay, so imagine in your installation, you already have, or you want to install a loop on the floor in order to trigger a signal to the camera to start to read. Okay, or you have a photo cell that only when the car is crossing by the photo cell or the loop, then start to read. So how to do this? Okay, so let's move to the setup. Okay, in this case, you need to select the option of trigger. Okay, so the way that the camera is reading is by trigger, and then move to the trigger option. Okay, in the trigger option, okay, here you can find the helps. So in this case, the camera supports 2 different inputs for auxiliary inputs, okay, 0 or 1. So I think it's better for you because you can play with 2 different loops, for example. Okay, just you can choose 1 or 2. So the idea is, for example, if you set, for example, 100 milliseconds, it means will be the time that the camera is reading after was triggered by the was sorted or triggered by the auxiliary input. Okay, so during that time, 100 milliseconds, the camera will catch in reading the information on the screen. Okay, and that's it. So the important thing here, okay, the important thing here is don't forget this. So you need to go to the setup of on the web server and make sure that the alarm input, okay, so it's important this, okay, to activate this. Okay, don't forget to activate this. Okay, normally open, or normally close. Normally open means the only when the camera, only when the once the sensor, the photo cell of the loop was sorted, then start to read. Okay. Okay. So this is done. Let's move to the continue with the motion detection. Okay. Okay, so this is clear. Okay, another one that you can use. Okay, the Wiegand one. So as I told you before, the Wiegand one is not Wiegand one itself. It's not physical port because the camera doesn't have it. So how to do it with this? So in case you want to send back to the controller, Wiegand, okay, negative save. So how to process with Wiegand? Okay, first you need to select the schedule you want, and then this is the information of the host. Okay, the IP and the port. Why? Because as I told you before, so you need to connect in the middle little controlino or little Arduino. So in this Arduino will receive the type of Wiegand unit, for example, Wiegand 24, Wiegand 22, 32, sorry, and this parity bits. Then this Arduino transfer the information, the logical information Wiegand IP to the physical. Okay, so this is the idea. And then you can connect the output of this Arduino to the controller. So let me move to the annex that has all this information. So how to proceed with the Wiegand? So in this document, in the annex 2, okay, 0.5 annex 2 Wiegand output, you can find how to connect our camera, LPR camera, to Wiegand 26, for example. Okay. So OEM controller, industrial controller converter. So OEM controller is an Arduino one. Okay. So this is the architecture. Okay, this is the converter industrial one. Okay. The architecture. This you have the cameras, a switch, okay, because it's IP. So this controller with the program to convert from the Wiegand IP to the physical one is like this. Okay, let me show you the easy one based on the Arduino, for example. Okay, so here, so at the end, the Arduino is working like a reader, external Wiegand reader. Okay, so this is the way you can connect to third party to our a ZK controller like the one here, the C3, for example, or third-party controller that support the Wiegand. Okay, so this is the scheme. So in the software, okay, you need to find the IP of this device, and the port, the communication port is this one, and the type of communication by default is this one. Okay, then this device convert, and you can use the physical output of the Wiegand to be connected to the controller. Okay, so those are the let's say physical integration. Okay, the relay and the Wiegand. So let's move, before to move to the logical one. So please, if you have any question till now, please let me drop a message in the forum, in the chat. So I'll be happy to reply before to move to the logical integration. Okay, let me check it. Okay, so there is no any question. So for the new people are coming right now, were coming last minutes ago. So here in the chat you can find a link, okay, on the previous presentation. This is the link for the Monday's webinar. Basic presentation. Okay, so there is no any question right till now. So let's move to the logical integration. Okay. The logical integration, for example, this should be one of the most typical integration for system integrators or software developers, companies who has already web solution or cloud solution for ticketing, for payment, for parking online or web platform. So they can use this system in order to integrate the LPR camera with their system. So how to do it, okay? So before to start with HTTP, okay, let me start with FTP server, okay? I think it's better because the HTTP server is a connection to send back to the server the information captured by the camera. But if you want to complete the flow, you need to fed up the camera. It means you need to synchronize a database. So the ways to synchronize a database is to use a FTP server. Okay? You can let's say you can store a file with all the plays you have already. So then the camera catch this information to be loaded into the camera. This information for sure are the car plates, the license plates. So let me start first with the FTP, then move to the FTP. So as I told you before, FTP connection is bidirectional connection, okay? To demonstrate how it works, let me open our FTP server, okay? I use for this FileZilla software. Okay, so my connection of this FTP is this one, because I already deploy a FTP server in our data center. Okay, we call LPR. So how to proceed with this? So you can find here several in the path, in the main path of the LPR. You can find different folders. Okay, so this steps and out. I will use this in order to store send information back to the server. Okay. For example, here you can find different files. Okay, sorry, different files containing up to this number of files. So picture already captured by the system yesterday, and also XML file. So the same, for example, will be for the input one. Okay, if I want to send a license plate to the camera, I can use the same FTP server using different folder with the list of the license plates you want to be imported. Okay. So let me explain this first, FTP, how to import and how to export the information. Okay. For this, I want to use old plates. Okay. For example, I already create FTP. For example, this is FTP export. Okay. I want to, so it means there is no limitation in the time. So to program properly the LPR, so you can find here my URL, my port 21 in this case. So, and this is the format I want to receive the information from the camera. Just only the image, XML with the image based on base 64, a JSON file, a JSON with the image. Okay, where this is the folder, and this is the credential to connect to my FTP server. Okay, in this case LPR and my credential, and that's it. Depending on the type of the FTP you have, FTP or TPS server, you can connect. So to do this, and right now it's disabled. Let me enable to see. Okay, enable. Okay. So let me make sure that after restore the service in any case. Okay. I already restart the service. Okay. So you can find here information. So on this, okay. So let me, okay, the last modification. So then after synchronize again, you can find how the files are coming here. Need to refresh. Okay. So all this information is sending back to the, so let me check again. All the plates, actions. So it's, oh, sorry, my bad. Sorry, my bad. I enable only the FTP. I need to sorry. Enable this. Okay, so now I enable just only the FTP. Okay. So I enable to send by JSON file. Okay, with this. Later I move just only to send back only the image, for example. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay. you can find here all the information. Okay, you can find here all the plates. Okay, JSON. So let me open this. Okay. Okay. So here you can find all the information on the JSON file. LPR, the whole information, the country, the confidence, and the image. Okay. So if I do the same, for example, changing the properties of this, that's only the image, for example. Okay. You don't need to save the data because automatically when you change the configurations, it's saving the configuration automatically. Okay, just in case I save this better. Okay, so let's move to the FTP and refresh. Okay, you can find here the very catchy. Okay, okay, so you can find the picture already catchy by the. Okay, it's corresponding with this. So once you see how I can send back to the FTP, let me how to do it for the import. So in the import, you can do the same. So for me, import is the way to import by FTP automatically. You can configure the server. Okay. So in this case, I need to use the same. Okay. Oh, sorry. The same. And which type of file I want to use, for example, CSV, HTML, the folder, the sign in, for example. LPR. My. Okay. So it means, for example, in this, I want to change the name of this. Sign in. So on this, okay, you can drop all the information in the XML file. Okay, to be connected. Okay, slave everything where. Let me show you an example of how is the file you need to create in order to be imported properly FTP format. For example, this is the sample for the CSV model. So if you create this type of files, then automatically will be imported by the system. Okay, the number of the element, the ID, the number of the plate, the timestamp, and the list you want to be stored. In this case, all this information will go to the blacklist. All these license plates is going to be stored in the blacklist. And also you have another file, is a flag, is the same file. You need to copy and add this extension flag TST flag. So this is just to inform to the program that the reading is the file is already finished. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so after this, you have already integrated the camera by FTP. Okay, not only for the import, but also or the output. Okay, so all the license plate will be sent back to the FTP server. You can, with third-party program, you can check the information of this file and to be processed. And on the other side, on the other hand, okay, you can import whatever you want, the information from the FTP. Okay. So someone is Alice B. Sorry, Alice. Let me mute you. Okay. So till now there is no any question. Okay. So let's move to how to integrate this with the HTTP server. Okay. For example, to be used directly with a web-based solution, cloud solution. Okay. For this, I will use the action. In this case, will be HTTP, yes. I already created this before. Okay. So, okay, sorry. HTTP. Let me enable this. Save. Okay. So to show you how this connection works, let me open. Okay. Let me open a demo version that you can find on internet. Okay. Let me open a new one connection. So webhook is let's say like a demo server that you can send. You can share all information HTTP you want. Okay. So this is a good example to show how the system works. Okay. Let me copy the server, the link of the server, the URL of the server. Okay. Oh, sorry. So my camera is here. So let me use it here. Okay. So you can schedule and you can select which type of file you want to be received by XML or JSON. Okay, depending on you want more familiar for you, the JSON or the XML. Then authentication. Okay, this type of server doesn't require any authentication, it's none. And then the format of the communication. For example, this is you can use post. Okay, so the camera is sending back to the server the information. Is you just get the information. You need to, the information will be added by the URL. Okay, in the URL, you need to change the information. You need to add the information here. But if I use post image, okay, let me connect it. Okay, I think it's already done. So the server is already waiting for a request. Okay, let me restart the service in any case. Okay, to make sure that all the modification all the changes are already correctly loaded, correctly stored. Okay, let's move to the main. Okay, here we go. Okay, so you can see here how the system is sending information to third-party HTTPS server. Oh, okay. So every time that the camera catch any plate, this is the number of the plate, this is the timestamp. Okay, this is the camera, ZKTeco. This is the way of the camera, and then where to store the information inside the camera, and you can find here the image processed by base64. Okay, so the next will be this one, 1359. So the last one should be like this, one of these. because it's okay. It's entering so fast. What this is okay. Imagine you don't want to receive all the information, or you want to use, for example, FTP in order to send just only the image, but by real time you want to use POS. So how to do this? So this is a very, so let me show you how to do it. So let's move to again to the, okay, the actions. So in this case, I enable just only configure, just only send the image, okay? And by STP, okay, I will configure just only POS or the POS param. So in the POS param, you can write a message here. For example, if I use this, PLT means the plate. So I can send this information. For example, this is my car. So my car will be the camera, the number of the plate. All these are supported. So because I already changed this, okay. So the information is empty, but it's sending by a file. Oh, sorry. If I use, for example, standard POS, okay, standard POS with no picture, okay. You also, oh, sorry. Let's move to the manual, okay, in order to FTP. So sorry. So all those information is detailed here, STP, and the connection type, XML, JSON, and the type. And those labels, okay, is the information you can use. This is the plane. Yes. So imagine I want to do the following, okay. So now I want to use XML file. Okay, I want to use get message. So for get message, I need to add it more information. Okay, here we go. So all the information should be added here. Okay, this is right or wrong. This is okay. So in the case of get, you can select here in the URL which information you want to send back in the URL, okay? So it means these labels, okay? And that's it. So you don't need to, just only to know which server you want to send, the type of authentication you have, for sure will be something like digits or something like that. Okay. Ah, sorry. This is wrong. Okay. That's parameter. Okay. You can see here. Okay. This is XML file. Okay, depending on your, and this is okay. This is what I want you to show before. Okay. If I do post message and the label, and the label, so this is my card. So the label will be plate. Okay. So just only send this. Okay. that's it. And that's it. This is the way to configure the HTTPS communication for third party, okay, in order to send back the information from the camera to the shopper. Okay. So till now, is there any question? Everything is more or less clear. So we already finished the physical integration. We already finished the physical integration by relay output with the Wiegand, and all we already finished how to import and export by FTP and HTTP connection. So one important and easy way to send back information to the third parties is to use, for example, the email. Okay, you can configure. So imagine you want to send back to a third party's email all the information catching by the camera, or just only the information, for example, in the VIP list. Okay, this card, you need to configure your email server, for example. In my case, okay, imagine I want to use my own account. Okay, so you need to select your server, SMTP server, the port, the connection, and the credentials. Okay, and for sure this is the destination to the subject, and the information will be mapped like this. Okay, all the information is already in the manual, so you can see the test that you will receive: the plate, the date, okay, the confidence, okay, and please, a message, for example, please do not respond this email. Okay, so this information will be automatically sent by email, okay, like a notification or like a alert mode. Okay, so this is another kind of integration. And the other one is based on Socket. Okay, Socket is very popular for the application based on PC. Okay, PC-based application like .NET or C++. Imagine you have an application based on this technology, a simple application for parking, or very complex application, but already developed by .NET. Okay, we have you can use this to connect. So at the end, the idea is more or less the same. You need to protect the host communication. So the host communication will be the connection with the third party's server and the port. And then you can send back the information by this type of files. So depending on which one you prefer, this is XML with image. Okay, as I told you before, the image is not real image, it's base 64 image. So you need to decode it later, or JSON. Okay, so imagine you have a simple application like this one. Okay, so you can receive all the information here, the plate here. So this I can show you how work this connection, because my camera is connected to a different server and a different network than my local machine. So I cannot connect. My local application will be like this. Okay, this will be the demo. Imagine this demo application can be your own application based on PC. So they can connect. For example, if I use this configuration, imagine I can connect. Okay, so this will be like this. I can use this port. Okay, so all the information real time, well, okay, let's say real time, okay, will be sent by, so will be complete all the information, okay, or stored in a file. Okay, so let's move. FTP is already done. Okay, let's move. Milestone. Okay, so in the milestone way, there is So let me show you how to do it. For sure, this is always the same. You need to set the host address. The port communication in this case is 1990. And analytic events. It means in your VMS, Milestone VMS, you need to have this feature already activated in enabled, okay? Because it's the way to connect. So send a milestone analytic event message, because at the end we are sending to the Milestone VMS an event, okay? So this is only the information I can show you because I don't have VMS already installed in my machine. But the communication will be like this. You need to enable analytics event, okay? Be enabled and select a port. So the port will be the same like the one you put here in our camera, okay? Analytics event. You will create an event, LPR camera event, create the rules, okay? So once the camera catch a plate, okay, will be sent it to VMS, to the Milestone VMS like an alarm. Okay. Then you can track this alarm in the VMS, in the Milestone VMS, and you can double check with the CCTV regular camera you already have in installation. So you can have you can do double, let's say like a double configuration, like a double check. Okay, I received this car at that time, then I want to see what happened at that moment. So all the information is already stored in the Milestone VMS. The email is already done. How to send back an email like, let's say, notification. The socket client is already done because it's the connection with a local application, like based on the .NET or C#, because it's the demo we already have. Until now, there is no, to be honest, these 3 or 6 are the most important, let's say, third-party integration you can proceed with this camera. Okay, so so for me, because the information is already done by the camera, so all the recognition is done by the camera. So you can build all the, let's say, a scenario, all the ecosystem you want. Okay, because you say, as you can see, it's very easy to be integrated in third-party system. So let me check if something is pending from my side in order to be. Okay, so IO port is done, FTP is done, Wiegand connection is done, HTTPS is done, socket done, email is done. So the trigger mode to enable auxiliary input is done. And okay, so another important thing you need to know of this camera is how to check the information on the camera, how to, let's say, debug the information in the camera, what is happening in the camera. So for this, there is some meaning, okay, we call debug. Okay, you need to service this, let's say, this all the action in the camera, you need to enable. And after that, after enable it, okay, sorry. So in real time, you will see, okay, let's stop. Okay. In real time, you will see all the information that is happening right now in the camera. Okay, let me do something. Will be to change the date of the camera. Okay, time settings. So today is 20, because it's not connected to any software, so it's not up to date. And the time is here is 10, 10, 10. Okay. My date time is London, Morocco, Paris, 6%. Okay. So let's move back to the. Okay, let me restart again the service. On this submenu, LPR menu, log options, you can select the level of the logs you want to see. Okay, so 4 is very expert mode, and 3 is more than enough to check what is happening in the server, in the service server. So let's move to debug in order to check all the information service. So right now, the system is telling me filter repeat with this camera, okay, this plate, sorry. Filter repeat means the camera already catched this display before. Okay, for example, this information is telling me that the system is want to connect to my FTP. Okay, so it's done. So for example, this one is okay, action to the FTP is correct. It's correct. The result is this. So it's very fast because we have so many action already programmed. So here, for example, FTP action. So this is correct. So I send him back to the FTP server this information. Okay, execute HTTP. So maybe as a troubleshooting, you need to check this information. Once you configure one of the servers, one of the action, like FTP, HTTP, or HTTP or other, you can check here the information in real time. All the logs are coming here. So if you can find here any error, you can maybe to check see if the login is correct or the credentials are correct. Okay, execution, FTP action. Okay, it means this plate will be set back to FTP. Okay, so all this is related to the catching plate. The plates already catched. And that's it. To be honest, with all this information, you can control all the aspect, all the feature, advantage feature related to integration in the camera. Okay. So maybe another thing you need to control is on this submenu setup expert options. After you select the region and the country you want to read, you need to make sure that this is the size of the license plate. Okay. For the first, my recommendation is to use, for example, the minimum one is 10 pixels and the maximum, for example. Then you can make sure that all the plays are correctly catched by the algorithm, because this size is the minimum size is very small and the maximum size of the license plate is too high. And the confidence is around 85. It's a good value. You can use 90%, okay, of the confidence. So it means your level of the accuracy of the algorithm it's much high, it's higher, but it's okay. 90 or 85 is okay. So for me, all the information I want to show you is already done, okay? So if you have any question, please let me know by the chat. We will start to reply all. I know this webinar is much, let's say, is harder than the previous one, but this is just focused for the advantage user and integrator in order to know how you can do with the camera. Oops. Sorry. So let me check, Jalamad, let me check which country we support from of Africa. Oh, I think Gambia is not already in the list yet, so I need to double check if it already will be included in the next release, because right now you can see here South Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, Angola, Senegal, Nigeria, Uganda, Burkina Faso, Tanzania, Kenya, Botswana, Ghana, and Cameroon. So let me check, Jalaman, if I will release on the next version in Gambia. Okay, I'll give you info. You can use this email for your question. Oh, sorry. The Gambia is a potential market, so might be interested. You know that. Okay. Oops, I don't know where. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So to be honest, it's not so difficult to integrate a new country. Okay, just we know as a camera for 1 week catching plays and recording different scenarios, and to know more about the format and to know more about the alphabet of the Gambia alphabet. Okay, it's similar than one of the countries, African countries that already support, will be very fast to be integrated soon. So for sure. Okay, guys. So I think we can close and finish the webinar here. So thank you so much for your interest in the solution. So I hope we can collaborate in different kind of project, because at the end this kind of integration, most of them are based on the projects, because requiring third-party integration. So I will be very happy to help you in the near future. Okay, pretty soon. So thank you so much for your time. So if you have any question, please send us an email to projects@zkteco.eu, or please contact with your local ZKTeco commercial or sales representative in your country. Thank you so much for your time. I see you soon. Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye.